Hi, I'm Suzanne Goulden and I'm an intentional living consultant. And today I wanted to talk about 15 simple ideas for daily self-care. My theme currently right now is intentional living and self-care and how the two go together. And I wanted to put some ideas together because we tend to think that when we hear self-care, that it takes a lot of time, that we kind of have to put together, half a day to go to the spa or, take vacation and this kind of thing. And although that is true and taking that time is really, really important, I wanted to put together some ideas that are really simple to do daily. Now, at the same time, I actually find these kinds of lists a bit annoying because you hear 15 things. How am I supposed to fit 15 things into my day? And so I just want to clarify that this is an ideas list, but I'm hoping that maybe just one of those ideas resonates with you, and that you're able to incorporate just one thing, for yourself each day. If several things or more than one thing on this list kind of intrigues you or sparks your interest, then I would encourage you to just still start with one thing and add in something else once that one thing is really a habit. Once you've developed a habit, you're not really thinking about it anymore. You're not really having to kind of put the time and effort into putting this thing into your daily routine. Once it's a habit, then at that point you could revisit this list and add something else if you so chose. So let's get right into some of the ideas that I came up with. And most of these ideas, kind of funny, is I realized that they're all things that I do. So I can kind of say that I practice what I preach here. These are all things that I have incorporated into my life, and I'm finding very beneficial. So I hope that you find some ideas that work for you. So number one is always the first thing I tell pretty much anybody when they're stressed and needing some time for themselves, and that is just to breathe. Just take the time to take some breath. We often don't realize that when we're stressed, when we're busy, we actually hold our breath, and holding our breath activates our stress response. So taking a few minutes even just to take 3 breaths, and a really important aspect of the type of breathing I'm talking about is actually to, you don't necessarily have to count, but you want your exhale to be longer than your inhale. So if you were to inhale for 4 and hold for a second or 2, and then exhale for 8 or 10. And the reason you want your exhale to be longer is the exhale relaxes your stress response. And so you want your body to have more time in the relaxation zone as you exhale. So literally taking a breath, you can do that several times in your day when you're feeling stressed. If you're feeling overwhelmed, it's amazing how just breathing can really calm your system, bring your focus back, have that panic kind of feeling if you're on deadline, kind of just, it's a woo-saw moment, right? So take a minute to breathe. Number 2, park a little bit further away from your destination. So this could be as simple as when you go grocery shopping, instead of trying to find the spot that's as close to the door as possible, you actually just choose to park at the back of the parking lot. This has an added bonus of that it probably actually saves you time, because when you're driving around looking for the close spot or waiting for someone to leave, or you're waiting for someone to load their groceries so you can have their spot, you could just park at the back and you could be walked in to the grocery store and saving some time actually there. The other thing it does though is it increases your steps, and it seems super minor, but you do actually get that little bit extra exercise with walking just from parking at the back of the parking lot. The same thing, could apply if you are in a building where you have to go upstairs you have the option to go upstairs as opposed to the elevator. That kind of idea would apply the same. It's just looking for little places in your life where you could add a little bit extra effort in physical activity, and it actually adds up quite a bit over time. Just that little bit exercise does count in small spurts added up, right? It doesn't all have to be done at an hour in the gym. You can actually apply it really in different areas of your life. But my recommendation to you is to just simply park a bit further away from your destination so you have a little bit farther to walk in. Number 3, and this is a recent one that I have implemented myself, but there was a study. I listened to the Mel Robbins podcast. I really like that one if you're looking for really excellent kind of advice and motivational kind of podcast. I do recommend Mel Robbins. But they were talking about a study that had come out recently, and that is that listening to bird song can actually improve your mood for up to 8 hours. And I thought that, probably sounded a little out there, but hey, there's a study done, some university. So I've actually notice that naturally it's spring right now, so of course we have a lot more bird song happening naturally around us, and I always love the spring, and I do love in the summer when we have our windows open and in the morning you hear that bird song. It is always a nice thing to hear, but there are, sorry, that's my dog. There are other ways of implementing it. It doesn't have to be bird song live in nature. You could do little things even as changing your morning alarm to a bird song to wake up to. You could change your phone ringtone or your notifications to bird song. You get that little, hit of that music every time your phone goes off. So it's just a couple of ideas for kind of bringing that in. You can experiment with it. I find that's kind of a fun idea. It's something that's very uplifting. I really like the sound of a bird song, so that's something to think about. Number 4, pick a day that works for you. It's probably, on the weekend. Probably for us, it's Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. But prep your lunches for the week. Rather than every day making your lunch, rushing around, or the evening before. And you're probably going to find that you're pulling out all the same ingredients anyway when you make your lunch. If you're making a sandwich, maybe you make a similar sandwich every day, or you're making a salad, or whatever it might be that you're making for your lunches, you're probably pulling out the same ingredients. You're probably, if you're making a salad, you're chopping the same ingredients, all this. Do it all at once. Do it on Sunday. If you're making your salad, chop all your lettuce, all your veggies that you put into it. Make your dressing and have it, ready on the side, and have everything in the fridge ready to go. We make salads in jars, in the two cup jars, mason jars, ready to go in the fridge. You can make smoothies ahead of time. Obviously, the only time that you wouldn't pre-prep on the weekend is if you're having leftover supper for lunch the next day, but then make sure when you're packing up your supper that you actually put it into lunch size containers. Quite often with our leftovers, if I'm not sure we're going to eat them right away, I make several single serve containers and throw them in the freezer, and they're super easy, quick suppers, quick lunches at any time. It's super easy to pull out, so that's a bit of an extra tip there. But my main idea here is to prep your lunches to make it a little easier during the week to get out the door. Another idea is smoothies can also be made ahead of time and kept in mason jars, and then your smoothies are ready to go. Real easy take on the go kind of meals. Number 5, stretch your body. And this does not need to be a big, long, 15, 20-minute stretching session. This can be taking a minute from your desk, standing up, stretching your arms up over your head, rounding out your back, and stretching out your chest muscles just by moving your arms back and forth. It gets the blood flowing. It helps to lubricate your joints. It takes away the stiffness. It's really, really important to get some stretching done. And you can do it several times during the day, standing up from your desk, or if you're cooking supper in the kitchen and you're waiting for something, on the stove. It's super easy time to just, do some stretches. Commercials, when you're watching TV, and if you're not having commercials, if you're streaming, then, even between shows, stand up for a minute, do some stretches. Try to hold your stretches for about 30 seconds, at least 30 seconds to a minute. That's where you get the most benefit of for your muscles from a stretch. Just doing that throughout the day, different stretches will really do your body a huge benefit. Number 6, add more fiber to your diet. So many of us don't get enough fiber, and fiber is the health and house cleaner of our digestive system. Because our bodies don't digest fiber, it kind of goes right through us, but it takes along all junk with it as it goes, and you know what I mean by that. So, where can you get fiber? Beans, lentils, leafy greens, ground flax seeds, fresh fruit, and vegetables are excellent sources of fiber. So add a little bit more into, you can add them into your smoothies, add them into your lunches, into your suppers. You can just sneak these ingredients in and increase your fiber, but that will help to make your body feel better. Number 7, appreciate the nature around you. And I don't mean that you have to go to a park or leave the city if you're living in the city to enjoy nature. It's really about just paying attention to what's around you at any given time. So you could even stand on your front step and, appreciate the tree that's growing in the boulevard. You could appreciate a bird, watch a single bird fly around for a little bit. Watch the insects around, bees collecting pollen, and, ants working together. You never know when you just take a minute to stop and look around and see, what's happening. You can, listen to the wind. You can, smell the nature around you, and, kind of clue into just how it feels. Look up at the sky and notice how blue it is, or if it's cloudy, look for pictures in the clouds. You probably haven't done that since you were a kid. You never know, but just it's even just a minute, literally 60 seconds, to just notice the nature around you. It does wonders for your mind, and connecting our senses to nature does wonders for our nervous system in calming it down as well. Now, maybe you're like me, you listen to music, when you're driving or at home or whatever, and your music choice may be something that's very energetic. I prefer rock music myself. You might prefer pop or whatever. Try to find some calming music that you like. I personally like piano music. I like meditation music. I like nature sounds. Sometimes listening to that kind of music has a very calming kind of effect on our person. So if you tend to get super stressed out when you're driving, try changing the music that you listen to. Try some very calming music. It's quite amazing at how that can kind of change the atmosphere around you, how you feel. I find that I listen to piano music and even Enya or meditation music while I'm being very creative. And I find that that music actually helps the creativity kind of flow. So music can have a big impact on kind of how we're feeling and how we're reacting, how we're responding, and where our nervous system is at. So I'm not saying to completely change the music you're listening to. I'm just saying there are times where you might want to try changing it up and seeing how that has an effect on that part of your day and how you're feeling with the stress that you're having at that time. Number 9. People don't always think of this as self-care, but it's actually very important, and that is actually taking the time to make the necessary phone calls for your health. So when was the last time you saw the dentist? When was the last time you saw the eye doctor? When was the last time you had an annual physical? When was the last time that your dog went to the groomer? When was the last time you had a haircut? These are the things that are important and for your health and your well-being. The dog groomers for, of course, your pet's well-being. But take the time to make those appointments. And a trick I have is before I leave the building after the appointment, I make my next appointment. So even if the dentist, if you see, once every 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever, make that appointment, get it on your calendar. And then even if you need to change it later, we are more likely to change an appointment than we are to make an appointment. So if you make your appointment before you even leave the building for your next one, it's one thing off your to-do list. The appointment's on your calendar. Even if you don't know what your schedule is going to be at that time, it's still on your calendar, it's on your radar, and it's something that you can work with when the time comes, rather than just being too busy to make the appointment anyway. So that's a little tip that I do and I would recommend. But you have to, first of all, make the time to make those appointments in the first place. And that is a really important act of self-care that you can do for yourself. Number 10, walk away from gossip and negative people. If you work with somebody, I used to have a coworker who was a chronic complainer. Everything that came out of their mouth was negative, complain about the spouse, complain about the children, complain about the house, complain about work, complain about the customers, complain. I had no patience for it, and I found quite often I just had to walk away. I mean, we were at work after all. It was pretty easy to find something else to do. I avoided this person because they can bring you down so quickly. It's so easy to get caught up in what they're saying, and then all of a sudden you're complaining about, the people in your life or your house or whatever it is, because you've got a story to compare, and the two of you start going down this hole, and then you're bringing other people with you as well. So walk away from the negativity. It's also okay to say, what, I'm not comfortable, especially if it's gossip, right? I'm not comfortable talking about this person's situation, so I'm going to bow out of this conversation. Just remove yourself from the negativity around you, from what people are talking about you. That's a huge thing that you don't need to deal with, because otherwise somebody might say something and you end up kind of dwelling on it for the rest of the day, or, you're thinking about it. People, when we're talking, we're constantly planting seeds that kind of get our mind going. So remove yourself from the negativity, remove those people from your space, and that will really, help you just kind of stay focused on what you need to stay focused on. Number 11, read a book in paper form. Reading a paper book is a much stronger connection with the mind. Our mind is actually able to map a book better when it's in paper, especially if you're reading before bed. Of course, the recommended time is 30 minutes before bed, no screens. So even if you're reading on your phone, that's still that same screen. So take the time to read, but read off screen. Read an actual book, a magazine, a newspaper, but read it in paper form. It does a lot for, your brain being able to make better connections to what you're reading, and it just gives you that break. We're staring at our phones, our computers, our TVs, all the time. Take a break, read a book, and give it about 30 minutes, especially if it's before bed. Number 12, get a hug or give a hug. Human contact relaxes our nervous system. And so, find somebody, a friend, a family member, your spouse, your kids, and feel that connection with someone, because it, fills up your cup. And it just feels good to have human contact. So seek out to give somebody a hug or to get a hug from somebody. Number 13, unclench your jaw and lower your shoulders. Even now, as I'm sitting here on video, I can feel that I'm like this because I'm, kind of nervous being on video. So, but we don't tend to notice that when we are very focused, when we're agitated, when we're stressed out, the shoulders come up, the jaw is clenched. So take a second when you think of it, try to think of it, and just lower the shoulders. Again, that takes a breath, right? Lower the shoulders, unclench your jaw, and, take the tension out of your upper body. Number 14, this is for pet owners. If you have a pet, take a few minutes and give them your undivided attention. I've got 3 dogs. They all love body rubs, especially their hips and back legs, and of course their bellies. Just relish in their cuteness and their loyalty, and just take a few minutes to give them your undivided attention and to appreciate, what they give to you, right? Even if it's a fish tank that you have, really just take, you might be to the point where you just walk by, you feed them in the morning and off you go. But when was the last time you actually took a few minutes and just watched them swim, watch them interact with each other? Just take the time to appreciate the life that you feed every day, and they will relish in your attention, right? They have so much to give back to you. So take a little time for our furry friends, feathered friends, scaled friends. And number 15, appreciate when you have a bit of time alone. We're so busy thinking about our to-do list and what it is that we're doing today. I would encourage you to kind of just try to be in the present moment as often as possible. I'll give you an example that even if you're in the morning shower, usually a shower, you're thinking you got to rush, you got to get everything washed up, and you got to get dried off and get dressed, and you got to get out the door and grab your lunch, and you can't be late. And just while you're in the shower, while you're showering, it's not just even just standing there. I mean, you could if you want, but enjoy feeling the warmth of the water. Enjoy feeling the lather of the shampoo between your fingers. Note how silky your hair feels when you're rinsing out the conditioner. Note the smell of the body wash that you're using. And of course, I would go so far as to recommend getting all natural products and getting rid of the toxins in there as well. But that's a bit of a side note. But just take that time to be in that moment and appreciate what's happening in that moment in whatever time of the day that you are. We don't have to be constantly, concerned about the deadline or concerned about where we need to be. The day is unfolding the way it's unfolding. So take a minute to, while the day is unfolding, to just note what's happening around you right now without worrying about what's coming up. It'll do a lot for feeling like you're slowing down a little. All right. So that's my list of 15. If you have others that you'd love to add, please add in the comments. I'd love to hear what you're doing for your self-care. And otherwise, have a great day, everybody.